Let's just bring you some breaking news now. Sky News understands the RAF has halted flights in and out of RAF Brize Norton because the runway has melted in this extreme weather. Now, Brize Norton is in Oxfordshire. It's the largest RAF base in the country. And another source has been telling Sky News this afternoon that contingency plans have been implemented to ensure that there is no impact on any military operations today.
They say it can be hot enough to fry an egg. Well, in the UK, we're going through our first sort of heat wave where we're going to try and get over 40 Celsius and get it to cook. Turn it over.
Searing, unrelenting heat, ravaging Europe's land and overpowering its people. Fire officials say taming this French inferno is a Herculean task. Fires there have pushed at least 16,000 people from their homes. It's an especially difficult summer, said France's State Secretary for Ecology. We are dealing with a very considerable drought. Where the situation's more calm, the Tour de France is doing what it can to try and prevent the 60 degrees Celsius roads from melting. In Portugal and Spain, another sign of the power of that heat. Officials say it has killed at least 1,000 people so far. On Sunday, wind gusts reignited smaller flames at what was the largest fire in Spanish history, causing several thousand people to flee.
It's still very worrying to see that as soon as the wind picks up the next day, there are lots of little hot spots start on fire again, and it's nerve-wracking.
We've just grabbed a few essentials and just ran, really, and by that stage, everybody along the street, the Calio, was on the move.
In the UK, people packed beaches as cabinet ministers gathered for emergency meetings. Britain is bracing for record-high temperatures on Monday and Tuesday.
This is serious heat that could actually ultimately end in people's death because it is so ferocious.
Climate change is causing this. We're seeing the heat waves are getting hotter and happening more often.
For the first time in British history, a red extreme heat warning has been issued in some regions.
The UK in particular are not ready for 40 degrees heat as is forecast tomorrow. We haven't experienced it before. The infrastructure is not set up for this sort of situation. So the roads are going to see areas melting. The rails are struggling.
The UK's government is warning power, water and mobile services could be knocked out.
The Deputy Prime Minister has appeared to downplay the severity of the current heat wave, saying we ought to enjoy the sunshine.
Dominic Raab also claimed that people should be resilient to the pressures despite a national emergency being declared.
Parts of Canada dealing with wildfire emergencies right now. We're looking at scenes from BC's southern interior. Near Lytton, an out-of-control fire is now up to 17 square kilometers. And in Manitoba, the Matthias-Colomb First Nation evacuated nearly 2,000 community members, leaving for safety because the fire there is about 230 square kilometers in size.
Some were taken by military transport, military airplanes, which had originally struggled to land because of the thick smoke, were able to land yesterday and help with those evacuations. But most people, Heather, have been evacuated by train. Some is picked by pickup trucks as well, capable of driving on the rail tracks in order to get to safety. The chief, as well as the Bound Council, say they are going to be the last to leave the community. You can see there where some of those fire pictures with that bright orange flame in the background there. They say they're going to be among the last to leave. They want to make sure that everyone is out, and they are sending evacuees to several places, including some 700 kilometers away to Winnipeg.
I saw like a little bit of like smoke and fires when I was like flying high up in the sky in a plane.
My biggest worry is losing our home. I don't want to lose our home.
Makes all of us happy that we're out here, that we're all safe, and especially all our kids.
Dealing with a fire emergency and still reeling. I mean, devastated last year by a deadly wildfire just 1 year ago, and back now facing danger. What is happening in Lytton?
So we know that this out-of-control fire grew yesterday by about 14%, and that was really disheartening. Fire crews and officials had been desperately trying to stop that growth, and there was some suggestions earlier in the weekend, earlier yesterday I should say, that it may have in fact stabilized, but despite that fact, that fire grew. 10 structures have been burned to the ground at this time, and this, Heather, is particularly a concern because this is on the west side of the Fraser River. Last year when the community was completely wiped out by a wildfire, that was on the east side. So the west side has really been a sense of a place of sanctuary and a place of safety for individuals. So to see this burning is very much upsetting to individuals there, as you can imagine.
So as more and more forest fires spring up across Europe, the Commission continues to work tirelessly to mobilize help to those in need. Now, in addition to the firefighting airplanes mobilized to Portugal, France and Albania last week, the Commission deployed another plane from Croatia to Slovenia over the weekend to battle a fire in Nova Gorica. The Commission also provided rapid satellite images to France in the context of an ongoing fire in the southwest of the country, using the Copernicus satellite system. This comes, of course, on top of the 2 firefighting aircraft that were deployed last week from the rescue fleet. We continue, of course, to monitor the situation during this unprecedented heat wave, and will continue to mobilize support as needed.
8 months ago, we left COP26 with 1.5 degrees on life support. Since then, its pulse has weakened further. Greenhouse gas concentration, sea level rise and ocean heat have broken new records. Half of humanity is in the danger zone from floods, droughts, extreme storms and wildfires. No nation is immune. Yet we continue to feed our fossil fuel addiction. What troubles me most is that in facing this global crisis, we are failing to work together as a multilateral community. This has to be the decade of decisive climate action. That means trust, multilateralism and collaboration. We have a choice, collective action or collective suicide. It is in our hands.
This has been a Lazy Terrier 2022 production.